full of irritation. "Why would I know where that is located?" Plato asked innocently. "Don't you play games with me, Lynx," Bermuda said vehemently. "You wrote about it." "I believe you're confusing me with the philosopher. It happens all the time." "You may be able to fool others, Aristocles, but not me." "Oh, well, then I don't have to tell you that cloaking your ship in fog will make it hard to find with the naked eye, but not for anyone using radar," Plato said casually, just as a blunt force rocked the side of the ship, nearly tossing Bermuda over the side. The Lynx stayed firmly in place, as if glued. Catching herself on the rails, the giant looked over her shoulder, her eyes smoldering. "The evil magician dares to strike a blow at my ship?" "It appears so," Plato answered, as another blast hit the stern of the ship, sending the bow straight into the air before it slammed down again. Water splashed over the sides, flooding the deck. Bermuda was tossed around as if she were a paper doll and not a giant who was over 7 feet tall. "I've really had quite enough of that man for one lifetime," Bermuda said, pressing her fingertips to her temples and closing her eyes. "Might I suggest," Plato began, cutting into her focused thoughts. Through the chaos of water spraying and waves crashing into the rocking boat, Bermuda cracked one eye open. What do you suggest?" "Well, it's just that if you are looking for Atlantis, and it is under the surface of this water, you might not want to create a fault line that produces a tsunami, even if it is intended to capsize the enemy's ship." Bermuda deflated, knowing she should have thought of that. Plato was incredibly helpful when he wanted to be, she remembered. Then she recalled that he hardly ever wanted to be, which had been the inherent problem when they were a team. "Do you have any better ideas?" she screamed through the howling wind. "Not presently," she seethed. There was the Plato she knew. Of course, he knew how to handle Adler Sinclair's ship, but where would be the fun in telling her that? Bermuda pointed into the distance, drawing her power from the earth under her feet, several leagues under the sea. To her surprise, a blast of magic pooled in her being. If Atlantis wasn't below, then it was another mecha full of incredible energy. She used the large reserve of her magic to create a twin illusion of her ship far in the distance. It raced the opposite way toward the Canary Islands as if trying to seek aid after being assaulted multiple times. Scanning the area where the blast had come from, Bermuda didn't see her enemy's ship materialize, but she did spy the telltale signs in the currents of the water as a large vessel changed course, charging after the phantom ship she'd created. "Well, that won't last for long, but at least it will buy me some time," Bermuda said, letting out a weighty breath of relief. She cleared the fog from the front of the ship, again looking for signs of the lost city. It had to be close, she reasoned, but nothing she did seemed to give her any new clues. It burned her up that a magician had found the lost city, or that was her assumption anyway, and they'd used the city no one could find to hide what was probably the most important book in the world, the Forgotten Archives. "Where are you?" she muttered again to herself. "You're doing it again," Plato observed. "Talking to oneself is also a sign of intelligence," Bermuda offered. "Intelligence is relative, dear Bermuda. How can it be measured when no one knows what an intelligent mind must consist of?" "The ability to reason and use logic," Bermuda answered at once, conviction in her tone. "Oh, but now you muddy the waters by speaking of ability when we were talking about intelligence." "Muddy the water? Really? You've been hanging around Liv Beaufont too long if you're making repugnant puns," Bermuda said with a scowl. "And I'd argue that intellect involves the ability to deduce and assess, and many other things. And yet my experience states that intelligence is more like a storehouse in a person's mind, whereas reasoning and deduction are skills." Bermuda sighed. "I haven't missed your games with semantics in the least. You wouldn't call a reservoir and a dam the same thing, would you?" "Well, of course not," Bermuda said with great offense. "Then it's not semantics," Plato said at once. "Intelligence is the reservoir, and reason and deduction are the dam. You can't fill the lake or keep it balanced without both." Bermuda sighed. "Although I'll admit your experiences on this planet far exceed